The following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Midwest, you're watching Beyond the Blast Doors live.
It is Beyond the Blast Doors. We have returned on a Wednesday to talk the Bad Batch. A bad batch? I'm not quite sure what that could possibly mean. It can mean a whole myriad of things in reality. It could mean, let's see, a Bad Batch in the Bad Batch is happening. We're 4 episodes into the Bad Batch on Disney Plus. A Bad Batch could be maybe a reference into the Sequel Trilogy because there wasn't a plan. I'm kidding. I saw everybody ruffled on Twitter the last 24 hours. People are sensitive. My God, we're going to talk about it. Also, we missed Make Solo 2 Happen Day. So we're going to shout that effort out and talk about why we'd like to see some kind of continuation of that story happen. And then, I don't know, we'll talk comics with Marie Wilson. It's just everything that you would come to know and expect with Beyond the Blast Doors Live. We're going to do it in this moment together. And we're so excited to be able to talk a little Star Wars together because life is crazy. There's still a pandemic. There's work responsibilities. I'm getting married for a second time this weekend. It's crazy. I know. And to help you understand this, I'll explain it and he'll help you understand. I'm actually going to bring my friend onto the show. He is a great man. He brings me a lot of joy. It's Scotty J.
We're here. We're getting crazy, David. Let's make it happen, baby. What's going on?
We're getting crazy. Hashtag Emalati, I do part 2. So let me explain. I did not get divorced and marry another woman.
Cool.
The pandemic pushed. It kept us from having our public marriage and the reception. So we got married in private, and then now we're going to have the public thing. And so, unfortunately, Scotty, I feel like I had to say something to you about this. You were going to be invited, but I was not able to expand my guest list to bring the network fam into St. Louis. So I apologize.
No, it's all good, dude.
I'm a terrible friend, but aside from being rejected and kept from maybe the best party this side of 2021 has seen, how are you doing, my friend?
Dude, it's going great, man. I'm loving Bad Batch. I'm excited to talk about Omega because I don't know how you feel about it. We had a little bit of pre-show talk, but my tune on her has changed. And I don't know. I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy to see everyone in the chat. It's going to be a great night. I'm down, diggity down.
You mentioned the chat. Let's go ahead and shout everybody up. Gilster, we got Frammy, we've got Matthew, Mr. Rez is with us. Good to see him. We got Around the Gap. We got Mr. Pete Fletcher here. We got Pete. Legend. He uses the Around the Galaxy. He's trying to get subscribers and he wants to promote a show. That's fine. But it's Pete Fletcher. There's no mistake. There's no ghost user on that account. It's Pete Fletcher. Who else we got here? We got Phoenix, Night Flame. St. Louis is boring. You suck. I don't know what else to say. I like my hometown. I like my home just fine. Phoenix, you don't have to like my hometown, but I like it quite fine. I did that on Twitter today. I had someone text me. They're like, dude, very bold to tell people that they suck. And I responded back, 5 people like the tweet. I think it's okay. It's not like,
I know that feels.
If 500,000 people like and retweet that tweet and say that I'm an asshole, maybe I apologize. But I think 5 people, and they liked it, and I got agreement. It was fine. Maybe I shouldn't use the
idiot recently too. This guy said that Maul was CGI and Solo, and I literally sit behind the scenes pictures, and I'm like, nope. Like I don't know. I don't understand this argument. He said Solo was bad because there was CGI Maul. There we go. Hashtag bring back Cad Bane. Oh man.
Okay, it was so funny. Galanorian Saber says go Cardinals. That's right. We got some St. Louis love here tonight. Okay, so I'm gonna throw up Pete here. He's laughing. What made me laugh that Pete was involved with, he put out a tweet that was like, the hashtag make blank happen is synonymous with the Star Wars fandom. And so people are tweeting on there like, the prompt he gave was, hey, what do you want to see happen? And then when people started putting bring back Cad Bane, I was like, yes. And then someone was like, make Cad Bane happen. I'm like, no, you can't do that one. That's off limits. It's not permissible.
That one will nope. Let's avoid it.
You got to avoid it. No one owns the hashtag. That's what I thought. Let's go into God. What the hell are we doing here? What are we supposed to be talking about?
Paul Stanley is CGI. Yeah, he is.
Every week. Hey, you know what? We should probably get into. Let's just go ahead and talk about it. We need a plan. That's what JJ didn't quite say that. So here's what's going on.
It was topic, Collider.
The first topic this week is Collider reports. Yeah. The headline even is J.J. Abrams reflects on Star Wars and when it's critical to have a plan. The small caption quote they use is, I do think that there's nothing more important than knowing where you're going. The article is a smart article. I'm not going to lie. I think the first thing that I think about when I saw this going everywhere on the Twitterverse, I was like, if someone got J.J. Abrams to talk, then you sure as hell are going to run with that.
Yeah.
And so I read the full article. There are 3 or 4 quotes that is not referenced, but that they have cited in here. The first one is, I've been involved in a number of projects that have been in most cases series that have ideas that begin the thing where you feel like you know where it's going to go. And sometimes it's an actor who comes in other relationships. Other times it's a relationship that as written doesn't quite work, and things that you think are going to be so well received just crash and burn. And other things you think like, oh, that's a small moment, or that's a 1 episode character, suddenly become a hugely important part of the story. I feel like what I've learned as a lesson a few times now, and it's something that especially in this pandemic year, working with writers, has become clear. The lesson is that you have to plan things as best you can, and you always need to be able to respond to the unexpected, and the unexpected can come in all sorts of forms. And I do think that there's nothing more important than knowing where you're going. Now, fascinating. That does not specifically
Nope, it doesn't.
Star Wars. But my God, people read a headline and they lose their freaking mind.
Yep.
I think that right now, the article does a really cool job of showcasing, JJ is able to kind of reflect on his career and the recent moments, his recent projects. There's another quote he talks about how, like, sometimes, a plan can do a disservice. Sometimes you can get so wrapped up in your plan where it actually harms the project.
True.
And then so I think this is the quote that everyone's like hanging their hat on, is because it's about, I'll just read it. You just never really know, but having a plan, I've learned in some cases the hard way, is the most critical thing, because otherwise you don't know what you're setting up. You don't know what to emphasize, because if you don't know the inevitable of the story, you are just as good as your last sequence or effect or joke or whatever, but you want to be leading in something inevitably. So here's what's fascinating. And this is, I get, it's not even damage control. And I think it's great to hear JJ talk about the process and the lessons learned and the growth of his craft. I think it's fascinating. Like, sometimes when I'm bored, I just try and find clips of Martin Scorsese talking about filmmaking, because I find that interesting. Yeah. There's not one part of this conversation where JJ is blatantly crapping on the sequel project, throwing shade at The Last Jedi, saying that he failed with Rise of Skywalker. I think you might be able to assume, he might be talking about the sequel trilogy, because the facts are he did Force Awakens exactly the way he wanted, thinking he was never going to have to come back to the table. Rian Johnson did the same thing. Maybe didn't even fully understand what JJ was doing with his first part before he started his part. Yep. And then Colin Trevorrow doesn't work out. They scramble. I read today that Snyder, like the guy who does Superman, had a Star Wars story that he once pitched to Lucasfilm. That's not.
They're going to make it an original movie as well.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's just changing it to do it as
I would love that, his
own sci-fi thing. But the point being is JJ had to come back and finish it up, because they fired Trevorrow, even though that script kind of seemed kind of cool. Yeah. You've read this article too. You've seen a lot of the banner. I traditionally loathe discussing the social media aspect. So maybe we should just keep the focus on the article at hand. Yeah. How do you digest what JJ is picking up? Did you interpret that he was maybe referencing the controversial Rise of Skywalker?
See, JJ is one of the filmmakers. He's a mini Spielberg. But what JJ does so well is he takes already established franchises and he moves them in different directions. And you said it perfectly earlier. He did one Star Wars movie and he said he was done. He's like, done. That next paycheck must have been fat. That thing must have been massive for him to come back, right? So he obviously worked on Star Trek, which this is going to be controversial here too. I prefer Star Trek 2009 over any Star Trek movie, and over The Force Awakens. But that's just me. I just love it. But he's had difficult task of trying to reboot franchises. He's working on a Portal movie now. I mean, he did Lost. He's done so much. And I don't blame him for, he's got a great vision. He's a he is an incredible director, writer, and creator. But maybe he falls flat at executing things, and maybe he can admit that, which is fine. I mean, it's okay to be a starter. You don't have to always be a finisher. You don't. I mean, he didn't think he was going to finish that trilogy. So he had all the creative freedom, like you just said, to do what he wanted. And he made some of the best character Star Wars has ever seen with Rey and Kylo Ren, Finn and Poe. I mean, you can go on and on. But it is definitely a very, very difficult task to finish something. And we all know he wasn't a strong finisher. I mean, people will either love or hate the ending of Lost. It's just part of it. So David, honestly, when it comes down to this article, you're right. There was no specification as to what he was referring to. It could be Star Wars. It could be Star Trek, because he did the first two, and then Ang Lee did the last one. So
I do want to point out. So this was Chitwood. What's his full name? This is Adam Chitwood who wrote the article. I'm not going to bring it up on screen because why that? What benefit does Collider get from me showing their article? I don't matter compared to them. But he does say that he was doing this interview with Abrams to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Super 8. And he asked him about this creative handoff. Specifically, does he feel the Star Wars trilogy would have benefited from having a plan from the very beginning? And answering, Abrams drew from his wealth of experience in television. So he was directly asked by Collider about Star Wars. Abrams went a little bit more big picture, which is totally fine. I still think, I think I got to stand by what I said. If you have the quote and you're able to ask him straight up about it, whatever he says, you throw it in the article, you publish. The business, and here's my thing. I just think there's difference between news journalism, what you read in the newspaper, what you see on TV, entertainment reporting. Like it's just a bit different, you know. By going back in the article, they're able to verify they did this interview with them. I mean, hey, kudos to Collider. You had the soundbite, you ran with it, and now you've got the entire internet talking about it. You got Abrams trending. So, and you know, it has a show with a 10-person audience right now talking about it too. So congratulations, Collider. I thought it was super interesting to hear Abrams talk about it. You know, there's a lot of things from the sequel trilogy that I like. And I think maybe Rise of Skywalker was maybe just a year rushed. Maybe if they would have taken a little bit more time with that and smoothed some things out, it would have worked for me. I think it's okay to be critical of a movie. I think it's okay to be a fan and be critical of it. I'm not here telling you that you should feel a certain way about it. I think there's a lot of people in the live chat that really like it. Gilster, though, I don't care. Gilster right now is trolling me in the live chat. He's saying go Avalanche because they swept my St. Louis Blues in 4 straight games. And that cuts deep and that hurts. But J.J. Abrams is great and talented. And honestly, a lot of us are just jealous that we're not him. So I think that's all we need to really say about that. I want to talk about comics real quick because we actually did have a great drop in the last week or so. And when I say week or so, I mean today. That's because we got Vader 12. And this is Greg Pak. And, you know, I know that I have been hit and miss with this lately, but as a prelude to the Bounty Hunter arc that Charles Soule is taking the lead on, I thought this was awesome. And to do this, we're not alone. We're actually going to bring in Murray Wilson. Murray, how are you doing, friend?
Doing great.
Murray
Excited
Wilson
to be here.
Yeah, Murray Wilson with BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. Every Wednesday drops a review, or sometimes two, on BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. This week we had Darth Vader 12. We also had Dr. Aphra. Let's focus on the Vader, though. I am going to try and bring up some images. If you squint real hard, you can see what's going on in the comic. Murray, so this is a prelude, and I thought that Gregory Pak and crew absolutely delivered. I'm so excited for the war on Bounty Hunter. Setting this up, basically, Vader just got his ass kicked on Exegol. He has seen the secrets of the Sith. The Emperor now wants to rebuild him. And I was curious, there is this dynamic that Vader has been exposed now to the ultimate power of the Sith. And the Emperor still wants to reconstruct him. What does this do for you for that relationship? Because we have seen in so many instances how the Emperor is not just trying to knock him down a peg. There's legitimate efforts trying to kill Vader, and here he is trying to reconstruct him. How did that land with you?
My biggest thing is that Palpatine, when talking to Masameda and Sly Moore, is making it sound like Vader is completely cowed. Like, he realizes the vastness of the Sith and that the secrets and Palpatine's power, and so Vader will never turn against him again. No. No. Vader's not ready to give up. Like, even, especially since during the restoration process, he's strapped down and there are buzzsaws coming at him and like all this crazy stuff, and the medical droid's like, okay, I'm gonna shut you down now, and Vader goes, no. He wants to feel the pain.
Yeah.
He wants to fully experience being mechanically restored. And during all of that physical pain, he's enduring emotional stressors too, because he's flashing back to all these big moments in the original trilogy and is really starting to reflect on Luke and how Luke might be a serious threat in the future. So there was so much good in this issue.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Just some of the aesthetic. And Scotty, I'd like your opinion on this. You know, I'm throwing some of the panels on the screen right now. What do you think of that art?
Oh, it's gorgeous. The whole thing is beautiful. I love the fact that you even get some prequels. Prequel right there, bing. That's the same place he went to whenever he, changed to Vader. It looks like the same droid as well. So I like, honestly, the comics are, and I wish I would get into them. I just need to bite the bullet because it's like the perfect blend of all bits right now. We've got things in the prequel showing up. You always got things with the OT, obviously it's the focus of it. Then you've got, what the hell is this? This is incredible. A bunch of YT freighters. It's just like they take you to that weird level of Star Wars that I think, the shows and maybe even some of the movies should go to. But I'm fine. The comics will suffice. Ochia Bastoon right there. I love it. I think it's really good. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really into how some of those frames, like the X-Wing, is coming out of the panel.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I liked how they separate the present with the past. The meditation of Vader with the red tint to those panels. So I think it's a lot of fun. Obviously, there's some sequel trilogy connection. Scotty, just by looking at 9 pages of the comic, could pick up on some prequel connections. So a lot of fun there. Also, shameless plug for you, Marie, because I'm not on the Schmodown. So real quick, what do we need to know about you as a Star Wars trivia mastermind? What's the latest with that?
What's the latest? Well, so the Star Wars tournament's going on right now. And unfortunately, in my last match, I missed one question.
Oh, what was
the question, Marie?
What was it?
So don't kill me, but it was a really easy question. And the reason I missed it is because the question beforehand was about Revenge of the Sith. And my mind was still on Revenge of the Sith.
Let's hear
and the
it. I wanna
question
answer
was about Attack of the Clones.
Okay, what was the question? Do you remember the word for word?
Yes.
Do you cry about it before you go to sleep? Is one of those?
I feel bad. I didn't set
Maybe
this
a
up
little
well.
bit.
It's
totally fine.
I watched. I feel bad.
I played really good though. I only
You
missed
did.
one
You were
question,
great.
so it's fine. So the question was, in Attack of the Clones, how long did Anakin say it had been since he'd seen Padme last?
Can I answer it?
Yeah.
10 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in my mind, I had the scene on Coruscant.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
Right before Padme tells him she's pregnant, and I was like, he doesn't tell her how long it's been.
No.
He didn't say how long it's been. What? That's not even, how is that a question? And then when my opponent said 10 years, I was like,
Dang.
Hey, Marie, I think it's awesome that you got there and you got to participate. I thought you did yourself. I thought you crushed it. You were so fun in some of those videos you did with them. So I still think it's a really cool honor that you got it. So congratulations to you.
Hell yeah.
I'm sure you'll find a way back into the competition. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Before we get out of here, Dr. Afra, yay or nay?
Yeah.
Was this a good comic that we need to be picking up on the comic book shelves?
So Aphra, it was not as clearly connected to the War of the Bounty Hunters upcoming miniseries, which was a little weird. Just at the very, very end. But you would like this. The very last panel, I'm pretty sure, is Dirge.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, because we saw that preview cover, remember, about a month and a half ago, which was probably the last time we did a live show, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that was probably it.
But I know, yeah, Dirge is back. He's canon. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, it's awesome.
So it's like the very last panel, this really cool triangle with him in it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Can you imagine if, like, the Mandalorian, I mean, because the Krayt Dragon looked so good. Can you imagine if they tried to do Dirge?
CG Dirge. Whoo, baby.
It's like when you get, like, strawberry concrete custard and you take that first bite and just like, all right. So that's what's going on with Star Wars comics. As always, you can catch all of Marie's reviews on BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. You can tell which one we favored this week. The Vader comic was just freaking incredible. Marie, really if they want to follow you on the Twitter, where should they go?
You can find me at Alia Morgaine.
She is maybe one of the smartest minds I've ever come across. Marie Wilson with BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. Take care, friend.
Bye.
She's just like the nicest person in the world.
She really is.
She's pretty genuine, which is great because sometimes we're not.
Oh, I'm always genuine.
You can't say that you're genuine. That's not being humble.
Oh no, that's
you gotta let someone else tell you that you're humble.
Nope,
I can tell you humble. Now you have like this pride complex, and pride's not an attractive trait to have. Apparently, I don't know.
To a Jedi or for a Jedi, but I'm not a Jedi. Dark side user.
So this is where this conversation's going. The Bad Batch fan.
Oh, I love this show.
Oh my
really
God,
do.
It's so good. Although here's my thing, I've really struck. So to be transparent,
okay.
I watched the premiere immediately. I fell in love with this. I thought this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I'm not so much there. Let me explain. I'm going to put Scotty just on screen apparently, and that's just me. There we go. I'm learning how to use my show again. So here's what we're talking about. Bad Batch. We're 4 episodes in. I think that the premiere was solid, and each episode following has gotten a little less exciting for me, and that's okay. I think the things that it does well is that transition, the rise of the Empire.
Oh yeah,
and you're getting to also see how clones and volunteer soldiers interact. I think that's awesome. The dynamics between the Bad Batch members themselves. Fairly quickly on, we lost one, but we got another one, and her name is Omega. Omega. Scotty, we already know how you feel since you shouted at the top of your lungs, but what is this show doing right for you?
In terms of animated series, it's the best animated show. I don't care what anyone says. This is like this is gorgeous. Like there's one shot I have up here where you can see like the dust in the air. And I'm like, what? Like they took it to that next level. It looks like a Pixar short. It looks amazing. So I genuinely am so excited to wake up on Friday mornings and watch this. What it does right is it's the perfect blend between Clone Wars and Rebels in each way. So you've got like the big Clone Wars set pieces and action sequences, but you've got that family aspect of Rebels. And like they found that balance. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's just pure Star Wars. I mean, I love Omega. I love the fact that she, honestly, to me, is turning as a character. I didn't like her at first, but now I get it. And like I completely understand it. This shot in particular, the Kaminoans, I am begging to see where that storyline goes. So, David, I'm digging it, man. What about you? How do you feel about it?
Well, I like I said, I think the premiere was just really fantastic.
Yes.
I thought it was a great story. The second episode, I kind of got annoyed immediately. And here's my point. I said this on Twitter, and I got some eye rolls, and that's fine. No one has to agree with me. That's why I do this YouTube show, and I share my opinions here. And if you like it, you come around every week. And if you don't like it, then you don't pay attention to me, and that's fine. Yeah. I want the Bad Batch, and I want the story to be tied around the Bad Batch. Yeah. And I don't need every Star Wars story to be centered around a youth. Mm-hmm. And I know that Star Wars is for kids. Like, I totally get it. And listen, why do I like Rogue One so much? because even though Jin is technically a child of, one of the, baddies that we're trying to find out, it wasn't so much about youth adolescence.
Yeah.
It was a gritty Star Wars story. And so when you proposed the Bad Batch to me, whenever it was originally announced, I thought, this is great. We're going to see this really tight group of clones fight its way through a very complex time in the Star Wars timeline, with the fall of the Republic, the rise of the Empire, Jedi on the run. The rebellion is under formation. The galaxy is unrest. It doesn't really quite understand how the Republic became the Empire, who's in charge. And you have the underworld really gathering in strength too, the rise of the Hutts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So like I'm here for that. I'm here for that. And like you mentioned, the Kaminoans. Love that story arc. I think it's great. I love the divisiveness within the Bad Batch we got almost immediately. I do like the rise of the Empire. I don't need another and again, I know.
I want to counter your point real quick.
Omega is just like so entitled and annoying in those first couple episodes. And I'm just like, right, this isn't for me again. And that's okay. Well, not every story has to be for me, but that kid is so that the 10-year-old at home can relate. And that's fine. I'm just not here for that. I'm there for the 3 minutes where the clones are actually blowing stuff up.
Now, I want to ask you this, though, and I'm not trying to burst your bubble or get on your nerves, but I have to say it. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Did you like The Mandalorian or no? Because that was all this.
All about Grogu. Grogu.
Yeah, but wait, hold on. That's honestly, if you wanted to be real at this moment, that is Grogu is way more annoying than Omega, because at least Omega can do stuff.
That's Grogu, not true. That's not true.
Grogu,
the entire time the Mandalorian has been out, everyone's foaming at the mouth about how adorable this thing. Grogu farts. Grogu farts. And everybody goes, oh.
But wait.
Omega talks and you're just like, I have my younger sister there.
I want to disagree, because The Mandalorian honestly was the show I was watching, expecting the badass shoot him up. I was at the panel. I saw 7 minutes of the show before months before it aired. And I'm like on the edge of my seat. I'm like, this is going to be the show that we get that's like Rogue One. And then literally complete opposite. Whereas at least with Bad Batch, we kind of got a warning that there was going to be a kid involved.
Matthew gets me here.
Okay.
I just wanted to kick ass and not be a group of babysitters. And I'll be on. Okay, fine. You watch episode 3, episode 4. Things pick up. I like the speeder chase. That was fun. You bring in Fennec Shen. This is exciting. Now we have a connection to the Mandalorian. Now we're starting to get big picture. Don't know who she's talking to at the end of the episode. Okay, whatever. That's fine. We'll figure that out. Maybe it's Kaminoans. Maybe it's I don't know. What?
Does Matthew not like Mandalorian either? Because that's literally babysitting.
You're trying. Okay, that's fair. Now you're getting like the whole fatherhood thing. Yeah.
All of it is baby. Like literally, if you watch any of the Mandalorian, it's him trying to say, "Well, what do I do with this so I can go do this?" Whereas Omega is nice because she can go and do this. The 3rd episode was brilliant because she solved a problem they couldn't solve.
And Scotty, I love that you love it, and so I'm not trying to change
No.
your perspective.
I just want you to think about it from that perspective, because Mandalorian gave us something we didn't know we needed. And this show may be doing the same thing. We're just going to have to.
But look at the ratio here. The Mandalorian is heavier on the action.
It is.
Than the babysitting.
I will admit that.
The 2nd episode of the Bad Batch is them in a circle in this ship because there's a critter on the outside of the ship or whatnot.
Yeah.
And Omega's pitching a fit because she can't go out because, well, I'm part of the crew now too, aren't I? It's just like, come on, let's keep going. And to me, if you want to pull the family dynamic on, it feels like Rebels, and that's fine. That's great.
Sure.
I can go with you on that. To me, it just feels like season 8 of Clone Wars, though.
Okay.
It looks, visually, it's about as good a quality as the season 7 was. Mm-hmm. And it's obviously those characters that were introduced in season 7. To me, it's just a continuation of that show. But I do think, though, by pulling on the family angle, yeah, you can make a nice connection there to Rebels, because what was the strength of Rebels? The art kind of got knocked, but it was that family tie, the relationship building in Rebels was really successful.
I agree.
Also, because it probably had a benefit from not being as long of a series. It was 4 seasons.
Yes.
Filoni knew the start, the middle, and the end, and was able to execute. Granted, that series also had fillers. I don't want to sit here and crab. I'm still watching the show. I might not watch it the moment it drops on the Friday.
Sure.
I'm still watching the show, and I anticipate the show picking up with action. The more we uncover about Omega, we're going to learn more with Fennec,
which will be great.
Right. This is going to be, we're about to hit the moment in the series where it starts building, okay, towards its season finale. I don't think it's ever been confirmed. Is this a lone season, or could there be a follow-up season?
Jordan Mason said that there is a second season in development that he's heard. So this show is going to build to something big. Like, obviously, you can tell the Kaminoans have something 100% up their sleeve, and I'm so excited to see how that plays out, because that's the David, maybe part of it is that this show does not do the large sense of storytelling that we're used to. Clone Wars always felt impactful because most arcs dealt with a big event that's happening in the Clone Wars, while this is just a crew hanging out, and that may be part of it. Honestly, Mandalorian did that really well too. And, maybe this show is building up to a big climactic event that is, huge in Star Wars history. We just don't know it yet, which I'm looking forward to when it does do that. It's going to do that inevitably.
Absolutely. We're building to a moment that will have impact on the greater scope of this.
Yes.
And I think that's a great observation that you just had. And this is something that, why I wanted to see the Star Wars stories beyond Rogue One happen.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, we know the main timeline, but it's fun to see those events from a different perspective,
yes.
From over here. So it's really fascinating, this perspective of seeing the rise of the Empire. One of the things, and we talk all the time, we don't like to be, and this happened. But something that I've liked with Crosshair is the dynamic between the volunteer troops and then the clones.
Yeah.
Because I was always kind of under the understanding, especially with the EU, that the Empire starts, they decommission all the clones. They die out, they serve whatever, and then they bring in the volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
It was really I was like, okay, when he's talking to the volunteer and telling him how, the reason why the clones won't work is because, they're not willing to go that far. Basically, the volunteers aren't willing to go as far as needs to happen. I thought that was some of the best Star Wars we've gotten the 4 episodes.
Yeah.
That got dark. That got interesting
real quick. Which
the
awesome.
Volunteer troops, the Imperial troops, are saying, hey, we did our mission. We should just take these people, we should just capture them and take them back. We shouldn't just execute them. That whole dynamic was crazy, because the image I have of the Empire is they're ruthless, and they're going to take 15 shots to kill and execute somebody, but they're going to execute them. So this was almost like role reversal. It was fascinating. And the larger picture, I don't think we're ready to see what happens with Crosshair. Crosshair is going to become something, I think, special, which would be great. I don't want to build this character up. He's going to betray his comrades. He's going to leave the Bad Batch. He's going to work for Tarkin. I want to see what they're working towards. And, does it have a tie to the Mandalorian? I guess that's my thing, is I feel like the Mandalorian is the Star Wars right now. And I feel like everything should tie back in, which it's not, right? Because High Republic is happening, and it's not really tying into the Mandalorian. Nope. And so, although I really want Fennec, what if Fennec is talking? There's a character that she's talking to. We don't know the identity.
Yeah.
But what if it was like a young Moff Gideon?
God, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
I mean, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
What's Omega's role? Is Omega's role, connected to whatever they needed Grogu for those clone creatures? Was that the Snoke project? I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing, but this is where, as I'm watching, my mind is going, which is why I do like this series. Again, it's not my favorite thing yet. I would like to see the whole season and see what that story is, but it's still got the fun elements that keep me coming back. Yeah. So, I feel bad. I'm looking at the comments. People are saying David's not pleased. David's not happy. David sucks.
It takes some time. I mean,
that's fine.
Clone Wars season 1. I mean, you go back and watch that, and you're like, oh my god, where's this gonna go? I mean, they got some cool ideas, but it's just not being executed right. I'm really looking forward to, this show is going to go somewhere we don't expect. We're going to enjoy it. This guy right here, Adam Rampart.
Steven Stanton voicing Tarkin just crushes it, as always.
Oh, of course. And there's special moments the show's going to do for us, and for a lot of people that's going to become Star Wars to them. And as much as we might not be digging it right now, or some things I'm like, it's a little drawn out or whatever, yeah, that's beautiful.
It's a beautiful shot, and so is this one of Camino. I cannot believe that we got this far, though.
Oh yeah, didn't talk about it.
the fact that this show starts, and I'm going to start backtracking here. The fact that this show starts with Kanan Jarrus as an apprentice.
So cool.
Literally, it's like you turn off the episode of Clone Wars from season 7, and then boom, you're here. The clones betray. You're seeing Kanan run away from the Bad Batch. Like,
great tie-in.
And someone in the chat said it. This episode might be the best opening episode for a series compared to how they started Clone Wars and Rebel. Now, to be fair, Clone Wars got introduced with that movie, which not everyone is on board with still.
Theatrical release.
And I liked it. I did like it. But you might have a point here. This might be. I mean, look at Kanan looks great. Fennec looks great.
Yeah.
I just cannot believe that they went there. I just completely caught me off guard that there's a young Kanan Jarrus there. And of course, we know what happens with Rebels. So, these layers, we're continuing to weave that canon thread through. And I absolutely love that.
And look, I'm looking forward to, what this show's going to build to. And I'll hold to that it's going to be something big. Obviously, they're not going to waste their time.
Why is everyone? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, they're talking about Resistance. They're just saying how it's hard
Everyone's
to watch.
Everyone's crapping on the Resistance.
I thought it was a good show for what it did. Definitely the most kid show of all the Disney Star Wars stuff. But this show is going to go places we don't expect. Like, I love it so far. I'm not gonna be the first person to say that head over heels in love with it, but I will say I really, really do enjoy watching it. So I'm gonna stick to my guns and say that this show does some things that other shows could have done better. So
I think that's valid. I never said that I don't like this show.
Oh no, I know.
I feel like Pete is like going at like every comment that I've made in the show so far. It's an okay show. It just, I'm waiting for it to pick up for my interests and what motivates me to want to watch this show. But yeah, visually, I mean, it's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I love like the subtle references to like Rex. At some point, Rex was right behind right in front of the Bad. Oh, when the Bad Batch arrives and they talk to the other clone that ran away. Yeah, they're trying to make. They're trying to duplicate the Imperial credits or whatnot.
Yeah,
and I just like love that little reference to. Oh, that's right, Rex is still out there. I wonder what he's doing at the time. So like you're seeing that. Yeah, they're playing all these different little thing. Oh, look at that. Throwing me, and he called me Dave. Man, he's really trying to mess with me tonight. Not only does he throw my joke in my face from earlier, but he's calling me Dave. Ouch,
Dave.
Yeah,
I was told to call you Mr. Amilati every time I speak to you. So.
No one should call me Mr. Amilati. That is my dad, and my dad does not watch this show either.
Look,
which the two aren't connected, but.
I can say this much, and not that I even have that much of a strong opinion on this show, but I'm happy with it so far, and I think we're all going to become happy with it at some point. It's just I also kind of agree with Rick to a certain extent. It is kind of weak, but thematically, it ties in with Star Wars perfect. I mean, I was on Alex and Molly's stream for Star Wars Explained, not the
shout out,
but I was on it, and the craziest thing was. The title alone for that third episode, Replacements, meant so much in so many different ways. I mean, you got them trying to find the replacement part, them literally being replaced, and then Crosshair also being replaced. It's just thematically, the show kind of gets it. And I think every episode, the nice thing too, David, and I think we should talk about this just for a second. It's kind of like Mando. It's not really much of an arc yet. It's kind of just going from planet to planet, place to place. So when you start up that thing on Disney Plus at 5 a.m. or whenever you wake up and watch it, that's when I watch it. And I'm like, all right, let's go to somewhere new. And I'm excited. We don't know at all where this next episode is going. We just don't know. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We've been talking about what we've liked. I've been a little bit more vocal about what I haven't enjoyed as much, and that's okay.
That's great.
I want to throw it out to everybody that's watching live with us in this moment. Right now in the live chat, let's do this. Tell us right now the top 3 things that you like about the Bad Batch so far. We're 4 episodes in. We've gotten, at this point, a little bit more than 2 hours worth of story between a really lengthy premiere episode and the 3 additional. Of course, the next episode comes out this Friday, so that would be the 29th. No, that would be the 28th. I can do math.
Yeah.
So right now in the live chat, if you're watching live, get in the live chat. And if you want to just keep it simple, just tell us what's the one thing that you really enjoy about this series and why. We'll shout you up here on the show. I don't know if that was actually English that just came out of my mouth, but what I meant was we'll take your comment, we'll throw it on the screen, and we'll discuss it here to close out the show. Again, it's episode 114, Beyond the Blast Doors Live.
Question right here is fantastic because I want to hear your thoughts on this. Not that we need to talk about Vader in particular, but what characters, obviously we know Rex is, it's been confirmed, but who do you think is going to show up in this, David? Do you have like a certain character you might be looking forward to? I know one of your answers. I don't have to even say it. Hashtag.
Where's my graphic, damn it?
Yes, bring it up, baby. No, but David, really, who is there a character in particular that you're like, man, they could go somewhere with this? I'm down to see it.
I'm going just to, well, yeah, I was going to say Rex. I think I'll just steal with him. I think it'd be really cool to see Vader. I don't know.
Sure.
Young Vader. Vader is Vader in the black suit. So obviously not going to see, Anakin's out, exterior as Vader. Mm-hmm. It's going to be in the black suit. I think that would be interesting if somehow Vader walks in while, Governor Tarkin is having a conversation or something. Yeah. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
But when I'm thinking like, I don't know, could you have a Bail Organa? Could you somehow bring in the Alderaan crew?
Yeah.
Antilles. You could have a young Leia. I don't know. I mean,
Finnick was a
10
surprise
years in, so you could go ahead.
What was it? Finnick was a surprise one. Let's be honest. We didn't expect to get her. We knew from the trailer, but in terms of her role, pretty big role, speaking role. I mean, she walked Omega around for a little bit. Omega was deceived by her, so there's that's going to be interesting to see how that probably plays out as well. Tarkin was one of the big ones, so we've got about 5 or 6 so far that are now like huge contenders. I mean, Commander Cody, let's see him, right? So there's other clones that could show up that Rex may be helping or looking for that can aid to this. Saw Gerrera was a big one. We didn't talk about Saw.
Saw looked, yeah.
Oh, Saw looked amazing. So the potential is definitely there. My dream, and we actually talked with this at some point on Alex's stream, but I would love to see Thrawn, but I don't know how to even play into this. There's, things like that they can do that can get really weird. I saw the idea of Grogu, but I'd rather Dave and John handle that.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
That's for them.
For the same reason, I think that they're going to hold on to Thrawn too for live action.
True, and they could do that, and which would be great. I'm fine with anything. But I mean, IG, is it 88? Yeah, IG 88 could show up. I mean, there's Dirge, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking this show's going to do some weird stuff with canon that we did not expect, honestly.
It would be fun if we got to play a little bit more with the underworld. That would be a lot of fun.
Heck yeah, at this point.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you probably have like a young Bosk. You can get that rogue gallery going again. One of the things I liked about Clone Wars was those couple of episodes where you had Aura Singh showing a young Boba Fett the ropes.
Yes.
So I think exploring that, and we kind of did get a little bit of an underworld vibe here. The last episode of Bad Batch. I am such a so I will tell you that speed chase was a lot of fun. Yeah, because it reminded me of the speed chase from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
which that sequence is one of my favorite things. It was action off the top. A lot of people crapped on it because they're like, "Oh, he's just trying to top the pod racer thing," and it didn't. The thing, it was never supposed to try and top the pod racer.
No,
there was no way for it to do that. But maybe a top 5 Lego set for me is the speeder chase that they dropped for Attack of the Clones.
Oh wow!
I don't have it here. I have it at my parents' house.
You have it? That's awesome,
dude. It's badass. The yellow speeder was such a fun build. There's a cargo section in the back that you lifted the door and you could store the lightsabers. Really detailed engine pieces.
That's awesome.
You had a lever on the back of Zam Weasel's speeder where you pulled it back and her front little fang things fell out. So it was playable. You could do the chase thing. It was back when Lego sets I really don't want to be the guy who's like, get off my lawn, but like that was back when like they really had figured out the right piece count to price ratio.
Yes.
And it was fantastic. Let's see what else people are saying. Okay, so Pete's going to throw up early Empire days, clones as bad guys, the mystery of Omega. Yeah, I think those are like the three
big themes.
Those are the big, and then under that I would put what the hell is going to go on with the Camino peeps, because they're trying to cook up something. I'm very fascinated to see what that. But yeah, Pete, I think those are the top three ones. I have been saying from day one that transition from Republic to Empire, my big thing. Scotty, though, I mean, I'm nervous, man. All the theories that are going to be dropping with Omega, with every new episode that we get, there might be some redundancy at some point, but also that's kind of like the fun. Like people want to have fun and they want to see if their thing lands. I want to know how they altered the DNA to create Omega, and I want to know what the hell they're going to do now. Because set? Well, it seems like a little bit of everything, but honestly,
that's what it seems like.
They're trying to, the conversation about how they're trying to get, they got to get a new DNA specimen right from the clones because the Jango Fett sample is like degrading in quality, which also that is super interesting. Like to me, that DNA sample has lasted at this point. 35 years, 40 years. I mean, we're going back to, before freaking Phantom Menace, that thing was the Grand Army of the Republic was already under construction.
I don't know if we have an answer to that actually.
That's impressive.
That is, and you can only splooge in a cup so long for it to last, like it's just part of no, but in all seriousness, like there's something too to be said about some of these other comments as well. What was the one I saw that I was like, let's see where this goes.
That's a sin. Not supposed to. God's watching at all times. You sicko.
So is Santa, but both of them got big white beards, and they said,
"Oh."
Okay, look at this. I like this. I like Crosshair, Hunter, and Omega. That's that. Okay, so who's your favorite Bad Batch, David? Who is your favorite person in it? Because I think I know mine. Mine's Hunter. Instantly, I can tell you, Hunter's amazing. Great character.
I really like Crosshair.
Yeah,
because that's the most intriguing element of all of this. He's the one that stayed true to programming, and he's the one that's being manipulated now for the Imperial gain. So for me, I'm very curious because, like I mentioned, 10 minutes ago in the show, I really want there to be a payoff with that character. I want him to be the prototype of something for the Empire, and not just cast away in some like little skirmish thing. Like I want there to be a real big payoff for that character. I just feel like the others are a little, I don't want to say bland in comparison. But like you have the outspoken leader, you have the muscle, you have the brains. You have what Echo is,
the robot or whatever.
The cyborg,
I do like this too. And I think most people will agree with this, but in that arc in the Clone Wars, they took those characters and made them like super charactery. So like Wrecker was always like wrecking stuff and being like full of nonsense, and Tech was always like super into what he was doing. And like what they do with this show so far is they've taken those characters and subdued them a little bit, turned them down. Like, let's look at them as a person rather than like a really over characterized being like we kind of got in Clone Wars. So I like that. I like that they kind of took Wrecker. They made him a little more innocent rather than a little bit more truly reckless and crazy. He's got a different tone to him. So I know I like Clink. Like Clink's fine, but I'm also fine with Gonky. I like Gonky a lot too. But David, is there a certain, like thing that you like that's different than the arc? Because the arc, I feel, in Clone Wars is very different than the show. It's a lot more the dynamics there, but it's not as over the top.
Well, Clone Wars, that it's always going to go back to the overall war and the scheme of Palpatine, where we really have no idea where these characters are going, which is exciting. At some point, it seems like every Star Wars character is disposable, and so it seems like they've got to fail at some point.
Yes.
And what's going to happen over the run of the show that it's going to get that emotional tie-in? What's going to allow you to have the bond with these characters like when Kanan sacrifices himself in Rebels.
Sure, which was brutal.
So what, and like I think the assumption is like that moment will happen. But I just feel like there's so many unknowns with this, because I think a lot of people have said this, but like Bad Batch is a little out of left field. Like I really thought like the next animated series was going to be like Sabine and Ahsoka go find Ezra and Thrawn.
Sure.
And so I never really thought about what it would be like to build a series around 4 or 5 clones that are trying to escape the rising empire. So I guess I'm copping out of that answer, but I don't even know how to because I'm so distracted trying to take in what they're giving us right now. Sure.
It's good stuff though. I will say it, to me, it's good, and it's going to get better. I hope. They're talking about the damn jacket. Yes. This jacket's older than me. Yes.
It's like a white cream, right?
Yeah. It's like a really light white. It's a beautiful color. I will say that.
It's like from the 80s. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it's the late 80s too. But, David, this has been brilliant. I'm very glad we could talk about Bad Batch. I know it's something that I'm glad we can hash it out a little bit too. It's important to have these conversations. That's the thing. People, for some reason, always feel the need to agree with each other. But right now, David and I don't agree. And that's fine. We're not supposed to. We're different individuals with different desires for Star Wars. It just is. That's just how it is.
Awesome. Let's take it up a notch. We'll talk about my marriage, for example. I thought I was taking a cooler that can comfortably hold about 137 cans of booze. So I was taking that down. I'm going to fill it with beer.
Sure.
And I found out today that we're actually filling up with a quarter of water and soda and seltzer and all this other crap that I didn't want. And, sometimes you don't have to agree with your person.
No.
But as long as you can compromise,
yes,
which means you lose, then everything is okay. And that's what I did with the cooler. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm not saying I'm right. But I like having a difference of opinion. Yeah. That was a bad analogy. And if Mandy is able to hear what I just said, I'm going to have to have that conversation.
Have a conversation.
I'm really excited about it. I'm all packed up going down tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Scotty, thanks for joining me. I'm glad we could do this. We are consistently inconsistent with Beyond the Blast Doors Live right now, as it just kind of has to be. And that's okay. We really appreciate you giving us your Wednesday night. It's always so much fun. Live chat was awesome tonight. Rick, Jackson, Pete, Matthew, Frammy, had some random people pop in here, and that was exciting.
Give me
more.
So
give me more. You want more?
Well, want some more randos.
I'll take some randos. I had a few randos in college. I still can't. What? Just like random people that would come in your life. They'd be your friend for like a semester or two, and then it's like 10 years later, and they're inviting you to their wedding. Yeah, and it's just like, just for a gift.
Yeah,
I sent them like a $20 gift card from Amazon. I thought that was nice. I'm not going to show up, but I made an effort, right?
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh.
It happens sometimes. Sometimes I'm wrong. Hey, thanks for joining us for Beyond the Blast Doors Live. I'm getting married this weekend. Maybe we're back next week.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.
But wouldn't it be something if I got married a second time and then we just never did a show again? Could you imagine? It wouldn't change your life much. It would give me back about 3 hours a week. No, we're probably going to be back. Realistically, we're going to be back next week. And we'll see you then.